guys, I'm kind of back, and that's about like 1.5 hours. This is still soaking in ethanol, so I think it's about time we take that out and put them on these paper towels. So in this session, these are the things that might be needed, like it's the lubrication oil, and we have a small waste refill, and this is going to be useful in some other session as well. And I'm using an everyday household stuff to make this video possible, this overhauling stuff. So I'm using some scissors to pull this bearings out of this ethanol container. So let me keep that aside. And I'm more comfortable using a paper towel, rather than using a dry cloth for this complete thing. Okay, so I'm going to lay this, keep the lubrication oil and this refill aside. I'm going to lay this like this, one over the other, and I'm going to pull all the bearings and put them here. Hope you guys can see it. If I have gone out of the camera, kindly forgive me because I am demonstrating as well as recording a video. So all by myself. I am alone on this, so kindly forgive me. There's going to be little drops of ethanol falling into the paper. That's why we are using a scissor instead of our hands to pull them out. This is why you need a bones container, that will have a screw running through the container. You just remove the cap, all the bearings come out easily. So they're not idiots to make that available, to sell it for you guys. You can actually make one, you can put a nut through this cap, have spacers and clean them, but then, you got to do all that. But I'm more comfortable like this, so why I need such setup, less hassle. So what I do right now is, after getting them out, I just wipe a little bit in the same cloth. There will be a little more ethanol here. This will help remove the sort of applied grease that is there in the bearing, which is still sticky, which would not come normally on a dry cloth when you dry cleaned it, kind of dusting it off, So we are going to do that. Roll this. So I'm going to take this session a little slow, I'll demonstrate for one bearing and then we'll take it, assume that I have done the rest of the bearings the same way, okay? So you also will learn it that's the similar way to do it for every other bearing. Now that I have wiped the assumed grease that is there on the, not the grease, some sort of a dusty oil that is there on the surface of the shield, okay? So this kind of helps to clean that. So if you feel like it's still there, give it a hard press and turn the bearing. It'll remove it. Okay, I've been waiting for 5 months to make this video because I want this bearings to get a little dirty. Normally I would clean my Freeline skates every 2 months once. This entire overhauling stuff. Both the skates, LED wheels and the black wheels as well. So once you're done with this, just move yourself a little bit. See, look how much ethanol is there. So now just beat it like this. Rotate your bearing, okay? Just beat so that the extra ethanol that is inside the bearing will come off easily, okay? This is just to make sure like it's not getting struck with the bearing. See, now you see there is some ethanol in this. So this is some troublesome bearing. Okay, so why am I tapping and removing all the excess ethanol that is there inside the shield? Because like if there is going to be ethanol in the bearings, there is no use for you to apply the lubrication oil. It will still be removing all the excess oil, and it will be letting it out of the bearing shields. It won't properly apply to the bearing balls, and it will create friction. So that seems to be fine. All the bearings are rotating properly. Now we are going to get back to our old school requirement. I'm going a little off the camera because like I have to take the dryer, So now you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove the excess ethanol over there. The heat from the dryer would dry the ethanol inside, and then we will have to rotate this once again, to make sure like bearings are not sticking to the inner walls of the bearings. This walls, so that doesn't create any friction. Okay, so I'm going to dry them. So I'm not going to talk hereafter. I'm just going to let the dryer do the business. Turn the bearings. So the bearings are clean now. It's dry. Just give a gentle spin so that to make sure like the bearings are not sticking. And by the way, when you're spinning, if there is any excess ethanol that is there inside, would come out. So there were two bearings which would normally have some friction because the 608 bearings came that way when I bought these skates. So I'm still using them because I know like the bearings are good. It will be getting better over the time. So now the bearings are ready. Time to apply the lubrication oil. Remove the cap as I would do before, and take your refill. I use a refill, you could use anything else. Just 1 or 2 drops per bearing, each side. I am applying the lubrication in the confidence that the bearings are dry now. So just 1 or 2 drops each side. Okay, so now since this is applied on one side, give it a gentle spin for each bearing for the oil to neatly get inside the ball rings through the shield. By the way, there are small cut openings. Sorry, I went out of the camera. Hope you guys can see. There are small cut openings in the shield for the oil to get inside. Okay. Normally, people would remove the shield and do all these things. I don't remove it because I know like it's clean inside. It's just the outside dust that I need to take care of. So I spin them like this, all the bearings. It's important to do this in a clear manner because that's why I'm showing it very slowly, because it doesn't matter how much time does it take, you know. So right now this procedure is going to be similar. We're going to flip it, apply the lubrication oil to the 8 bearings, and we are ready for assembling the Freeline sketch. Okay, hope you guys understood till now. So I'm going to apply the lubrication oil for the other side and come back to you. Okay, peace. So guys, I've applied the lubrication onto the other side as well, and I gave it a good spin for the lubrication oil to get inside the ball bearings. Okay, ball rings. Okay, so you might have heard some spinning noise before. I'm not sure how much the microphone of my Xiaomi Poco F1 have captured that, but right now I want you to listen like how good the bearing is after applying the lubrication oil. So this is how it sounds. Do you hear anything? I am pretty confident that this bearing is good and it is ready for assembly and it's good to ride, you know. So for assembling we will need this refill. Okay, and I'm going to keep these Allen keys here, put my lubrication oil aside and bring back all the tools. Okay, and all my wheels and the deck. Okay, so as before I'll show you the procedure for one wheel or maybe two. I'm kind. So and then I'll finish them off the video and get back to you guys. Okay, so we'll get started with the assembly. So let's keep the wheels here. Right, I'll put them in the visible area for you guys. Okay, and I'll put one of the decks here. I'm taking a couple of Allen keys. Just flip your deck. Okay, before which we need to put the bearings inside the wheels and along with the small spaces. Okay, I kind of forgot about that. I just remember now. So I'm dropping in one bearing here, give it a gentle push, that's inside. Then take the smaller spacer, put that inside, make sure it is standing, it's not, you know, like this, you know, onto the sides, you know. And then drop another bearing, give it a gentle push, that's inside. Okay, I'm going to do that for rest of things. One bearing, gentle push, take the small spacer, put that inside, make sure it's standing. Take another bearing, 608Z, give it a gentle push. Take another bearing, press it, take the small spacer, put that there and make sure it's standing. Take another bearing, put that there, press it, it's ready. Here, the last wheel, the last spacer, make sure it's standing and put another bearing. Forgive me, I'm sweating like a pig. That's what it is, falling on all the deck and everything. By the way, this table is sort of waterproof, so I don't have to worry. I make my salt prints on this. So all the wheels are ready right now. Okay, now the assembly part. We will need this refill. I'll tell you why. First things first, the axle. Okay, you kind of put the axle here with the spacer, then take the wheel, get that into the sides, Then move your axle to the edge of the wheel. Now place another spacer like this and give a gentle push. Adjust the hole properly so that that spacer got fixed to the axle. Now all that we are left with is the axle nut. Okay, now put the axle nut on this, and as I said before, one of the hexa keys are used to hold the axle nut, another one to tighten it. So don't show your masculinity here, just give a right tight so that you make sure like the wheel is rotating. And let's not be lenient also. Let's not be lenient, say like keep it loose. That might, bend the axle actually. So you don't want that. So now one of the wheel is mounted and it's ready. And it's spinning freely. See that? And after you do this, give it a gentle shake and see that if any of the spacers are loose. Okay, that's fine, that's cool. So why we need this? This is just to make sure like the spacer inside the wheel is in proper position, to make sure the spacer inside the wheel is in proper position. You can actually do that with the hex key as well. Okay, sometimes the pressure that you might put in the hex key would push the spacers inside the wheel or the bearing to the extreme left or right, so that's why I use a refill, so it just gives the enough amount of pressure for this to happen. So now the axle itself, first the bigger spacer to the axle, keep it to the edge, move the wheel inside, then push the axle through to the end of the wheel, okay, just about to the edge. Take another spacer, sorry if I have gone off the camera, take another spacer, place it properly inside, push the axle through that spacer, okay, and keep it tilted and place it properly to the hole. Now put your axle nut, gently give a hand tight so that everything goes in place. Now let me wipe my sweat, sorry, forgive my gesture. Now use your hex key, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So tight the axle nut. You can do it this way also, from the bottom side of the hex key. Actually it gives a better tight when it is on the small side, like the lever principle. So now give it a gentle spin. This seems like little tighter, so I'm going to check and give it a little. I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. Yeah, it spins free. So one of the wheels is ready, brand new, cleaned, overhauled, trying to ride. So as you guys see, like it might be because of that faulty bearing which was there, or so it shouldn't affect your ride anyways. Okay, your body weight will make the bearings move properly, so you don't have to worry, like it'll anyways ride properly. And moreover, these bearings are freshly lubricated. Forgive me, I was rubbing my nose because of the sweat. And don't worry, amidst all this chaos, and I do remember about the COVID-19, and I wash my hands regularly. So I sanitized it before I did all these things, so that's why I'm touching my face. So you don't have to worry about that. So this wheel is ready. since these are freshly lubricated bearings, it's going to take some time to get used to this new environment and everything. So the lubrication is going to take some time to free the bearings and balls and everything. So it's going to take some time for this to get ready. Like if you take it for a couple of spins outside, a couple of rides, it will be free and it will be good for you to ride again. So now that you have seen for one side of the wheel, I'm going to go and finish the other side and get back to you and meet you guys in the test ride. Okay, peace. So this is the other side, how smooth it is, right? Probably that's one of the faulty bearing. Okay, so this is how you do it actually when you actually assemble them. So out of 8 bearings, if you find a couple of pairs which are not good, so you combine those bearings with the good ones. So there is one poorly performing bearing and a good bearing. So that wheel will tackle the friction better. So that's how I did it. There were 2 bearings on each wheel, 1 bearing on each wheel which was not working. So that's how I splitted them and paired them with one good bearing and a bad bearing. So now the Freeline skates, the black wheels, are completely cleaned, dried, overhauled. So I did the complete 5 procedures, disassembling them or dismantling them, then dusting it off, then cleaning it by soap, then drying them, then lubricating them, and then assembling them. So we have done all the procedures. The Freeline skate is ready. Let's go out and do a test ride. Okay, forgive my gesture, I'm all sweaty and forgive me if I'm not looking good on this, because nearly 2.5 hours of video recording and 1.5 hours of cooking in between, so all sweaty. Forgive me. Okay, so I'm used to speaking in front of the camera, looking through the camera. This time it kind of confuses me because I'm standing in front of the selfie camera and I'm looking at the screen more often, so I'll get used to it. So let's go and do the test ride. Okay, I'm sorry, just before the test ride I forgot to show you something. So this is the ethanol color right now. As we saw it earlier, it was like damn pure, as clear as a crystal clear as a glacier water. Now look at the color, and actually there are some oil particles and dust particles which is turning around in this, so there are impurities, and I came to record this one because I want to tell you this, you can reuse this ethanol as long as this one turns completely black in color. Okay, so every time you soak your bearings inside, it might take a little longer than before, since this time it took like an hour and a half for this one to completely soak and get cleaned. The next time if you're going to clean it within 2 months, it might work in a much lesser time, or if you're going to extend it for 5 or 6 months like me for this time, so it's going to take much more longer for cleaning the bearings, because it's getting dirtier and impure every time you put your bearings inside. So you can reuse it as long as it turns completely black. Okay, so that's what I want to tell you guys. So it's working. Let's go do the test ride. Peace. So test ride after overhauling. It's too good. Very soft. Quite pacey, racy, torquey. Peace.